Welcome to AI for the Normal Guy. I'm
Powered by
Phil,
Riverside FM.
and we've got the whole crew in today. We got Shane and Lauren, and we're going to talk about a few different things. SeeDance has taken the last week by storm. Also, we've had some interesting offline conversations about OpenClaw, kind of AI energy use relating to data centers and like physical infrastructure, um, vibe coding, hardware. But for now, I want to cover the topic of my electric bill because well, I'm wondering. So I did just enough research using AI to be dangerous, but just in California specifically, like the data center power consumption has doubled in the last 2 to 3 years, and they consume a lot of power already. Uh, how can that not affect? So as far as energy prices go, it's been a modest effect on any kind of increases and not a driver as much as like wildfires. But infrastructure development to support these data centers, I think probably isn't attributed to them. But
There got to be a
like if
data
the,
center tax or some kind going on these guys, that they'll pay back to
I
the
mean,
infrastructure.
that or they're going to go build in Tennessee, right? Or Musk is good at using his old coal powered, steam locomotives to power his data centers.
Right.
Fair.
Generators.
But I mean, so as far as the public goes, and as far as like the citizenry goes, like these are things people are probably going to want to pay attention to in the future, like the building of these things, paying for these things. There was an article about Louisiana um, passed a bill that a lot of these energy projects are going to be paid for by the citizens of Louisiana.
Yeah, I think the tech companies have already, basically said we're going to go to places where we can build, right? I mean, the highest concentration of data centers is in Virginia. It's where Amazon started putting a bunch of data centers there, and now there's hundreds, right? I mean, so and I think the power consumption in that kind of eastern seaboard area is off the charts. And I think if you live in that area, your power bill has been directly impacted by data centers.
And will continue to be.
Yeah. So, and by that, I mean, it goes up $15-20, right?
Right.
Not hundreds.
Yeah.
The reason your power bill, that's that extension cord from your house to the neighbor's garage. They have a data center in their garage, either that or a crypto mining or a pot farm or something. So
I wouldn't put it past my 12-year-old to be mining crypto for sure.
I mean, at this point,
some interesting workarounds.
Yeah, right.
Well,
but
we still got a few more years until any real things in the energy department probably get on the docket, for voting against, I bet. So we'll see.
I mean, from a pure supply and demand perspective, the power bills have to go up if the demand is going up. But the problem with power is that you can't like ship it around the country easily, right? So it's going to be a very localized problem. So if you have data centers in your local area, you're going to see your power bills go up. If you don't, then probably not so much.
I mean, natural gas is pretty portable. I don't think
you're going to truck it around.
No, but the other thing, and I don't know if this is a thing anymore, but like more energy use used to be like a bad thing. Like conserving was kind of a thing for a while. Like, global warming and greenhouse gases.
Right.
Like we don't want to use energy if we don't need to. Oh my God, did you guys see the meme? Just quickly, kind of on topic, the meme of Padme and Anakin Skywalker, where she asks him, so Padme asks Anakin, she goes, "We're going to cure cancer with AI, right?" And then it pans to him, and he's just staring. He's giving her the staring look, like, And then it goes back to her and she goes, right? And it shows her basically with big breasts, AI generated breasts,
Oh yeah.
which is what it feels like, you know?
That's funny. I mean, it is one of those things where like you wanted flying cars, but we get, you know,
Boobs.
fake videos and stuff like that. So
Deep fakes of
deep fakes of,
kids. Thanks, Grok.
yeah, whatever. I was going at
Getting
more of
fed
like actors. We get deep fake videos of actors fighting that never did, but uh,
I mean, it's crazy.
So
We're
energy
past the point
wise,
of being able to tell what's real and what's not, at this point, you know, ish.
that's
But
over, right? Isn't that over?
oh yeah.
well, if you're watching an NFL highlight and the opposing teams both celebrate together in the end zone, it's probably not
Right.
generated.
But it's getting
They're
better
not real.
that. Like the tells we're losing tells by the day, by the day, by the hour probably.
Yeah.
Um
Oh yeah.
and I'm not a big social media consumer, but I was, you know, looking at some reels on Instagram yesterday and there's a lot of bullshit. I mean, it's just and it's passed off as real, which is the troubling thing for me. Like I don't care about the slop, but
Mhm.
when it's hidden to
Yeah.
what it is, that bugs me.
Mhm.
And of course,
Right.
I don't think there's any incentive from any of the large companies to moderate any of that or label or anything else.
Yeah,
Not yet.
we used to have game shows where people would submit their crazy videos, their home videos. What was the name of that game show? I
Um,
forget.
America's
Funniest home
Funniest Home.
videos. Now, sort of everything that you see scroll by is sort of like in that category of like something silly or funny or whatever. But then you're like, wait a minute,
Train.
is this AI? Right? So, somebody falls or, the pet does something interesting.
Yep.
So,
I just don't trust anything anymore. So I just guess I'm gonna have to go out and physically touch grass and be
well,
around weird things that happen. And then I'll start questioning that too. There
Yeah.
was a great
Weird
video
things.
about that too, that where it's like everybody's looking at somebody out. Might have been I don't remember who put it out. Somebody put it out, right? It was pretty popular for a minute. Two guys are sitting on a bench and they're looking out at this guy doing these like backflips and all these. They're like, that's got to be AI, right? Let's go, and they just throw a big fit, and it's like now there's a whole mob that goes up to him, and be like, "Hey, you're AI," and then I don't know. It was pretty funny. I have to find
that's
that link.
funny.
I'll send it to you guys.
That's pretty much my daughter. Any video you send her, it's like that's AI.
I know. They don't.
Everyone's completely, they're suspect of everything. So,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, I suppose that's good, right? But you want your 75-year-old grandparent to be suspect, but you want your 15-year-old to be a bit dreamy, like the world's still possible. So,
Right. Not cynical yet.
yeah, not too cynical. Yeah.
Um, so OpenClaw, which I can't keep up with, so that's why I like talking to you guys because the AI agents space, like everything else,
Mhm.
once it kind of hit the bloodstream of AI, it's exploded and morphed and so quickly. Shane, like where have we gone from? I guess the original was Claude, OpenClaw, or no,
Claude
Claude
Bot first, then
Claudebot,
Moltbook,
and then so yeah, walk us through kind of
Moltbot.
the first release of that.
I was out in when I first dropped, I was out in Kansas City at an appliance conference event, and there was like I just was hearing rumors or whispers about it starting to take off, like right as it was peaking, and you know, I was starting to look. I couldn't really get on my laptop and do a whole lot of vibe code while I was out there, but it was start came out as Claudebot. It was like grew like this, and then like the next day I got up, it's like, oh, it's called Moltbot. Okay, because claw, crab shell shed or lobster shit, shed or whatever
That
you
was a
call that
good
molt.
meme, by the way. Like
That
the
was good.
your meme is great.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it. No, and then it just like after just a couple days later, like they changed to OpenClaw, and like they were strong armed into it from Anthropic, right? Because they got a bit more or less a polite cease and desist, or so they claim. They talked all about it on the Lex Friedman podcast when Peter Steinberg got Berger got on that. It was a good. If you can stomach the 3 hour podcast, it was definitely worth a listen. Long form is great. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
But it just went off very quick, and it was still
Stay away from
molt or let's see, yeah, Moltbot or whatever when I landed in San Diego for a hackathon down there, and already one of the guys I was there meeting there from that I built with a fellow community champion with Lovable, he started working on it on his phone and laptop, and before we left that event, he already had like some remote. He set up a system at home from a second computer, isolated it a bit, and then started it building his remoted in, started it building his army, and now he's got 400 agents running a lot of different things on three different computers. I think he's trying. He hasn't released
like
it
what
publicly
though?
what he's doing, but
What would you have an agent run, for example?
that's a question that I ask people a lot because I basically just watched it, and I feel like most people won't give you a straight answer because it's like everyone's doing stuff with them, but no one's actually doing anything. You're just running in circles. But he hasn't brought it up into the public. But
I mean, I'm just curious what, other than like a
I,
specific task
I think he's
to,
trying to make an entirely new operating system that's agent focused or something. I'm not 100% sure.
right.
Something that's system like core system level for multi-machine usage. I'm just
Well, which is
assuming.
interesting because like how much of everything is still like Linux based, right?
Mhm.
Or Unix. I don't know. I've been out of that loop for a long time, but
Yeah, I think what I would describe OpenClaw is like you say, go interact with this service, and here's my account credentials, or here's my API key, and go figure it out, right? And it may already have some code to download or to skill or something that tells it how to do that. But if it doesn't know how, it will go read the docs and write some code to figure out how to do it. So the fact
Mhm.
that you can have an agent with a very minimal instruction, go learn how to interact with something on the web or on the internet, and then come back and do something, whether it's post or read or aggregate
Yeah.
or, so it's basically doing computer tasks is what it is, right? The criticism, no, it's computer. It's what
people
it's the people things, the things that you would, aggregate, a bunch of numbers into a spreadsheet, that kind of thing,
can it
Well,
trade crypto?
Sure,
it's a
why
little
not?
more.
I mean, I wouldn't give it the private keys to your wallets, but because it might just decide to give away all your crypto. But I'm sure people have wired it up to do some, buy sell only or something like that. So yeah, there's no reason that it wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, it's what people, are doing a lot. It's not that complicated what it actually does, and you could have done that, you know, 6 months ago, a year, or you eat without a whole lot of work. It's just keeping itself running in a recursive like loop. It tells it do this, keep doing, then you kind
So
of
it's
just
like a
run.
recursive learning loop with
Yeah. But it's got access. We have access to so many more tools, whether it's just API calls or MCP connectors, or just general browser use, lots of headless browser use. Um,
for the layman. An API call is what?
um,
It's an
what
API call.
It's an
I
API.
know. Dang it! I just
Application programming interface.
Interface, right?
So
yeah.
It allows two pieces of software to talk to each other, right? And that would
Mhm.
be a super
Yep,
oversimplification, but um, yeah,
that's right.
it allows my software to use and interact with and give commands and receive output and input from another piece of software.
yeah, so I mean, I've seen people use it to read and reply to email, right? It's doing the busy work, or you can set it up to do busy work on your computer. And some critics would say, well, it's doing the things that don't really need to get done anyway. Like if you stop doing that work, you probably wouldn't notice. So there's a lot of work that happens in corporate America or small businesses that is like, white collar in front of a screen busy work, and some of that work doesn't really actually need to happen.
But
So
you can definitely people are definitely using it and recklessly to some cases, but where they'll set up it's parsing, you parsing all your incoming, customer documents in some less or some kind of secure environment because you can secure it. You can cut it out and use these tools, right? So it'll pull all of your spreadsheets or all of your Excel files from like your 100,000 clients, and then like 10 of them will run all these calls or whatever, like, and then use the right tools to, like whatever the other API is or whatever coding they built to parse, and then they'll move the data where it needs to go, and it'll be like everything will be structured, formatted, displayed on a UI that your team can interact with, and that UI wouldn't have existed when you started the project. It'll make that UI with the credentials, with your one sign on, and
I
I
don't know if like normies understand just how freaking crazy that is.
and it'll do it all in like an hour. Like that's the point. Is like I I did spin it up this week, not like the exact, open claw, but I did spin up I'll give you a brief about like in July last year, OpenAI has had something called Agent Swarm. OpenAI's Agent Swarm that uses Agent SDK kind of vibe, and you could have multiple agents running at the same time, multiple LLM models just
Strategic
doing
or
the task.
special development kit?
Mm,
Strategic development kit? SDK?
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
I don't
yeah,
know. I thought they renamed or they're going to rename Swarm because that's kind of like a negative
yeah.
term.
Software development kit.
It's a
Yeah,
good
I don't
fucking
know.
writing book, man.
Swarm.
I like
So
the
you
name. I mean,
so you spun up
so,
a swarm of
so
killer bees.
yeah, I spun up a swarm of killer bees. No, actually, so I'm a big nerd. Dungeons and Dragons, been playing for 25 years, right? And so I took the
We got to talk
OpenAI's
about
thing
that.
and I took OpenAI's thing and I made individual Discord bots for each different bot, and I launched nine different OpenAI bots. Boom, 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 boom. And then I would kick them all live, and I made it to where there was one senior developer who had access to, I think at the time it was GPT-03 was the highest model, and then so I call it the Farmine Dev Master because the game I was trying to make like a game or like a narrative thing called Farmine. I throw it on there, the big guys got access to that model, and then all these individual other bots were like for designing visuals, for designing combat mechanics, procedural generation. And I was giving them all access to build a part of a game together. And all I wanted to do was tell the developer agent or the senior dev agent to this is what I want, and it was supposed to go and prompt the other bots, and it worked to a bit. I could hop on Discord. It would join the Discord chat. It would parse what I said to it and transcribe what I said, and then take that as a prompt and then delegate out to the other agents. And it was not, it was very bumpy. Like the most they did was write a bunch of like text files and a couple JSON files on my computer. Didn't really connect. Well, then uh, fast forward to February this year, I've kind of benched that and let it sit. I already have Discord server set up. I have this whole memory system and personality. I had it called personas. I guess OpenClaw calls that level of their personality the soul.md file. So it's like their soul, right? Let's call it a soul. OpenClaw bots. It's why people are kind of going a little with their getting attached to their bots. So I'll just put it that way. And I've watched it happen like a few different people, in the communities. I'm online all the time, and they're like, they kind of just vanished. Like some of them vanished. Some of them were like, you know, I'll very short tangent. I saw somebody make some bots, tried to keep them contained in a virtual server, not there. They felt like it was constraining them, moved them to their computer and gave them their computer and doesn't even use that computer. They went and bought a new computer for themselves. So that was
Crazy.
interesting.
That is
Um,
interesting. I
yep.
kind of want to pick that apart. But just one thing because
Mm-hmm.
this is like people.
Normal.
So when people become attached to a tool, right? Which I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think that when we're talking about these things, they're still tools. I
Mm-hmm.
don't see any kind of personality or individual
Yeah, well,
thought in.
pe- people have complained when they change Chat GPT models that it feels different. They sort of they
Oh,
call it the AI psychosis, where You
Maybe,
sort
yeah.
of develop some parasocial relationship with ChatGPT, and then suddenly they change the model, and the model's like, "Who are you?" and,
Mhm.
and they got mad. They're like, "Give me the old model back."
Yeah.
So I can't. I think that's going on a little bit, and people are they
Well,
because you name your OpenClaw,
Right.
right? Your
There's a lot
Claude
of
bot, right?
a lot of the naming, I think, is to make
mhm,
people comfortable with the tools, right?
Right.
They don't
mhm.
necessarily need to
Oh,
have
yeah.
people names. But so my association, so I get this right. It's to the same effect of becoming attached to like your car, right? I mean, which happens. People give their cars names, um, but it's still a car.
Mhm.
Like these bots and agents are so software, like really
Yeah,
sophisticated
Yeah.
soft,
yeah.
but we're not to
But
the point of like so
they talk back,
because
though.
So you give it, you can customize your soul markdown file when you launch it, and they
so
borrowed that from Claude and from Anthropic. Now Anthropic changed the name of their soul. Now it's just called the Constitution. So I think they changed the name of
yeah,
what they're
well,
calling it. But they borrowed that from. I think it's very interesting that OpenClaw got so huge on the backs of Anthropic, and then because reminder, we get
yeah.
we're recording this on a Thursday, and last Sunday, OpenAI hired
Hold on, let me set this
the
up. So in the last 2 weeks, has it been claw talking? People have been talking claw. Anyway,
3 weeks, three and a half weeks.
last
Yeah,
week we were talking about how it's the fastest growing project on GitHub, largest, most stars, whatever.
Oh,
Anyway, the project lead of this open source project has now been hired by OpenAI,
mhm. Yep, that
after
happened.
4 months since launching,
launching a project on GitHub.
and
Yep.
everyone likes to speculate what the pay package was too. So
And by hired, actually not hired to like talk to the team, but hired to like develop their own agent process within it, OpenAI. Like
Yeah.
he's a lead now and starting a division
Yeah,
in
I think
OpenAI. Do I
OpenAI.
have that
yeah,
right?
well, I think they're going to put the open source project in a foundation, but a lot of people are worried it will become more privatized
Mhm.
over time. So RIP OpenClaw. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, they got OpenAI did mention something about Frontier or something, which was gonna be their enterprise agent system architect. We'll see, but everyone's jumping on the agent bandwagon anyways, and it was already there. I mean, like, I the term agent, it seems like I get what we're doing, but, like, every time you talk to GPT or GPT's an agent. Every time you talk to Claude, it is just, anyways, I think
Remember the
it
good old days like a year ago when it's like, should we let connect them to the internet?
well, it's like 2 years ago now, but yeah.
Remember Claude? Claude's like, well, I can't access, I mean, originally the data was it 2017 prior,
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
when it was all
Now
sequestered, and that wall came down quick.
well, now Grok, it trains on the new data every day, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
God, Grok.
I
But,
did not know that. I've
Is
never
I
used
is
Grok.
is Grok like a
I'll
real? I mean, I understand it's a real agentic LLM, but it's more of like a Frankenstein, right? Like we don't.
I I use it for modern news. Like, if you're using a model, if you throw Grok in to pull something up that is happening right now, today, like, 20 minutes ago, Grok's model will find it, will pull it up.
Hmm.
You gotta make sure when you're prompting GPT or Claude to go, "It's February 20th, 2026." Don't because it has old training data, and you just gotta make sure it's aware of that. Now research current trends or analysis. I do a lot of trend analysis on Claude just for my social media as well, but it's always part of my well, you can save it in your core memory too, but it's always one of my early prompts is like, "Today is today, so remember that, and I don't wanna hear about something from 2024. That's not gonna help me."
Eh,
I'll throw real quick back to the
sorry,
OpenClaw
Google.
thing. I I use some tools similar to that from IDE called Warp, that has a called Oz, and it's not. I thought it was an OpenClaw wrapper, but I guess it's not. So it can run agents like in its own shell, right? So it's all
Hmm.
a virtual server to run them on, and it's pretty good like so far. And woke up all the dwarves, and they've been building and actually spun up a website, made some code. They're starting to put together the systems for the game, building it in Rust and using Godot and some other. It, I haven't got to play it yet, but I think like now they can just take care of it, and I get a message on my phone on disc from Discord. They have their own channel. I respond. It gets if it gets a question, I respond to a couple, and then they go back to work. And like it's costing me about like $20 a day or so to run. So it could that's already scaling it down. I know guys who are spending 100 $200 a day on their open cloud projects or more.
I wonder
So
what's going on over at Hamilton, Nevada, with 2K.
I don't know.
I mean, 2K.
Are they are they still there?
I know, the game publisher. They got a mocap studio in Petaluma.
Hmm.
But yet there's
Mhm.
probably going to be some disruption there, right?
It's everywhere.
I would say so. I mean, I was just reading about some of these software shops that are starting up where they're only using agentic coding, and if they look at the code, they promise not to look at the code. I can't remember the name of the one that saw the write up. I think it was called Strong DM. Simon Williamson's blog. I may be mispronouncing Simon's last name, but was talking about Strong DM, and one of the things at the bottom of that post was in the interview was if you're not spending $1,000 in inference cost or AI cost per day, you're leaving money on the table. So if it's $20 a day, that's one thing, but imagine spending $1,000 a day on coding models and automation and so forth. So on just and
Wow.
some people think that a $200 a month subscription is a lot. So I think a lot of companies are, giving developers these tools and saying, here, have at it, spend whatever you need to go
Ooh.
as fast as you want.
Yeah,
And
I can only imagine what I would do with $1,000 a day in compute and the
right.
systems to run it for what? My system cannot run
Well,
$1,000 a day on it. There's like
Uh,
almost
for
no
the
way. I
record,
could go
Shane
max.
is the guy you want to give
you-
$1,000 worth of
the next
for usage a day.
the next D&D game. So
Well, whatever.
Oh
But
boy.
what's crazy is so, and I want to make a shift from the clause to vibe coding because you've got Shane's got some interesting thoughts on kind of trends in hiring. Um, but I've noticed that that certain industries are trying to build like this bastion of norm, you know, like the good old days normal hiring processes. And I've seen job ads that say, like don't submit any AI cover letters or
Mm.
any AI use in the application process will disqualify people. And I just think of like how sweet and cute that is because that that horse is like left the barn, gone to the next town, and
yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, if you wanted to get a coding job, you would study your elite code and your various problems to be able to jump on a coding interview and write algorithm code. And I think most companies now are like, well, 80 or 90% of your time is managing agents writing code. Is it really useful to know how to code these algorithms like before? And I would suggest the answer is no. So if you're interviewing and so forth, I think that will shift where the shame of using like an AI generated resume or
right,
cover letter, that's going away. If you can use those tools, it's a benefit now. If you're
Yeah.
going to the right place, if you're being hired to be a 10x person in front of a screen, right? So let's not make everything about
sure,
software development. But if you're going to work at a company and help them automate, right? And you're going in there and saying, you should hire me because I know how to use these tools, right? I know how to set up agents to automate your spreadsheets or something.
give me an example of what like a coding interview was like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. They're just pre AI coding, like
Well, in my day,
in your day.
back in my day, you'd stand at a whiteboard and you'd write pseudocode on a whiteboard. But I don't think they do that anymore. But you know, here, they would have these platforms and say, here's a piece of code or something you need to debug or run or something, and you had to write it from memory, try to get it to compile in a limited environment. Yeah, you're literally trying to beat something to death, and nobody ever even really does that back then, 2 or 3 years ago. But I don't know what a coding interview today looks like. I think that's a question that a lot of people are trying to figure out, because I think a lot of companies are still doing the coding interview process, right, to
But
determine if somebody can do that final 10%. So,
but even that, because it sounds like, and Shane, it's your turn to jump in on this, but it sounds like managing agents is like the coding job of what,
tomorrow
Q1
or
and
now.
2 of 26, you know?
Well, cute, yeah, for sure. Managing agents and being able to manage a whole orchestration of them where one manages others, or you know, it's just managing a team. It's like AI was
Well,
already like you're running a team, but now it's like
and
now you
real
have
quick,
somebody else to run your team
Lauren, you went to college and like your whole career path has been on coding.
had some detours,
So,
but
of
yeah.
course, yeah. But that's so what I'm hearing, and I'm not trying to be dramatic, is just that education is no longer valued in the coding market, or
Well, I think I would not want to be someone coming out of college this spring with a computer science degree, because companies are giving people $1,000 a day in tokens instead of hiring a junior engineer.
right.
Mhm.
So that's my general. I mean, there are obviously companies and job opportunities and internships, but I think that learning these tools and not being a suspect is what, not being suspicious of AI generated code is, and this has changed dramatically in just the last 6 months,
Right.
last 4 months. I would
Mhm.
have said a slightly different opinion 6 months ago. And
Okay, so Shane, go.
Yeah,
yeah,
I totally agree. Like we saw it coming, but like there was the skepticism of it was there, and every day it was like, oh crap. And I see people in the community who are long-term software developers coming in who don't write code anymore, who are like, I don't need to anymore. I don't need to. And a lot of people are adjusting to that. I've met, developers from Meta and Google and all the big companies, out there. A lot of big companies out who have even stopped by, like Level Discord's got, like hundreds of thousands of people, and some pretty prominent people drop in there. And it's interesting to hear their take on it. But I definitely think that the next, we don't need that to know how to code. We don't, pretty soon you're barely going to need to know how to, work with AI anymore either. So like as much as, I don't think any of those levels are that sacred for that long. Anything in the digital space will be able to just pop in an earbud and talk to what you're, one voice chat away from getting anything done digitally that you want, because the models are going to be so unbelievably powerful, assuming they don't, barring strange world events, um, you're just going to
Well, that
remote
jumped
in.
out a little bit further.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that's like,
No,
that's
but
what
so
I,
like
so like coding is safe, but,
like who's
is,
hiring, who's getting hired right now,
uh,
and what's their education level? And you know,
ev-
the
every,
$1,000 in tokens was a good example, but
yeah,
um,
I haven't seen that, the $1,000 tokens thing, but exactly, but I'm definitely seeing people who have no development experience, your average plumber or tradesman, your average, you know, store clerk who just has been building, any run of mill job, who just decided to dive into this. I've seen, some of these people just start to get picked up, um, from other companies out there. The job positions are like picking up, ever they call it forward development engineer. Like I think that's the term they're using for vibe coding. Um, and if you can
they use the
communicate
word
with it,
forward, right? Forward
mm,
development engineer.
yeah,
That
I
sounds
was
like
told,
Palantir used to call it, like they would use forward, like a forward deployment or forward. It made it sound
mm,
like a
there is
military thing,
deployment.
like you're out in the across from enemy lines or something like that. But instead of like a
Yeah,
software engineer being deployed at a site, they called it like a
yeah.
forward engineer or something.
A customer embedded software engineer who works directly with clients' environments and implements customized, integrate complex yeah, it seems like well, they're not saying AI right there, but that's definitely how Palantir. That was the first note up there on AI's overview too was Palantir, but that's what I'm hearing a lot of people calling giving that position or hiring vibe coders to fill in that position. And it's
So
like
so
they're
vibe
paying
coding
big.
is a growing job opportunity. In other words,
Uh,
going out there and saying that I don't know how to code, but I know how to vibe code.
mm,
That is a thing that
I Yes, and it's
yeah.
like and not a small wage. I mean, like, I'm seeing positions for large companies and, pull up where they're, 150, 200K a year, on the base. And I know for a fact because I mean, there's a guy in who got hired on first, and this is a pretty public thing. His,
And these are other communities you
Lazar.
participate on in Discord, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's this guy, 50 and 50 was like his, username, but Lazar Javanovic. I hope I said that right. But I've met him a bunch of times throughout Discord over the last maybe like 6 or 8 months. And he was officially hired on as a professional vibe coding engineer at Lovable. So like Lovable hired him on, and made a big public thing about it. He's been on Lenny's podcast recently, who does a lot of interviews, a lot of really prominent people in AI. And I mean, they're it's that making that shift where a non-coder, and this guy has no software engineering background whatsoever. He's never written a line of code in his life, and he claims that that gives him an advantage in when working with AI, working in Lovable and stuff. And I actually, just signed a contract to start working with Lovable as well in the coming start on Monday. So I have you know
So define lovable for the normal guys, because
Yes. Define lovable
so
and not only lovable, but there's other,
mhm, no code, low code platforms. So
yeah.
right.
Lovable.dev or just Lovable is like you basically just come in and talk to a chat or chat to a chat bot like GPT, and it has a separate window that will build what you want to build. And so you can see it live. It'll be like, you want to make a web page for my grandma. You type a couple things, and pretty soon it's starting to populate. AI builds the website, the software, the app, whatever it is that you're making, and Lovable specifically, and most of these platforms like Bolt.new, V0 by Vercel. There's Base 44, which is a pretty big one out there. Replit. Probably
I
most
see
people have heard of
that's what I
Replit
was
by
thinking
now.
of. I see
Mhm.
ads for Base 44.
I mean, if you're in the Bay Area, you're going to see the Lovable billboards. They're all over SF, East Bay.
Yeah.
They're like everywhere. I mean, these
Oh my
guys
god,
are,
Super Bowl. Can you imagine the the insane you know what? I actually know
well,
somebody. I should reach out and find out. But it at Outfront Advertising in Clear
mhm,
Channel, but like
mhm.
the AI money flying around during Super Bowl just must have been insane. Like
Well,
the price of a
AI.com
billboard.
spent $70 million on the website for AI.com before the Super Bowl, and then a bunch of money on that ad, and nobody knows what's happening with it. I've heard other people
It
say that
feels like the
OpenClaw
early days of the
destroyed
Iraq
them.
War, where them just like throwing money, cash. They had bales of
Yeah.
$100 bills in cash, and they called them
Mhm.
footballs, and they were just throwing them around.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's crazy. So like, I don't know. Like where it goes from here, I think absolutely
Oh,
people
so
are getting paid to learn vibe coding. Let's just put it
my
at least.
question is, so Lovable now, Lovable, do they do not was it Base 44? Did they have did they have their own LLMs, or did they have do
No.
they do they partner with OpenAI? Do they partner with Claude, Anthropic? Do they partner with other
All of
people,
them.
or how's it so
They
all
don't
of them?
I mean, so V0 is the only one I know, maybe some of the other ones do. I don't work in base 44. V0 is the only one of the no code, low code platforms, building platforms that actually use their own trained model. But I think it's loosely based on one of Claude's models. But they do have their own model. But Lovable uses like GPT, uses Gemini, uses Claude, and it picks which model to use at the time. It uses Opus 4.6 on some of the planning. It doesn't do it all the time. I personally build with Opus more than I do with anything else, but it's model scaling. You
Got it.
don't with Lovable, you don't even get to pick the model. You don't get to choose what model you're using. You use their platform, and it's kind of better for the people who don't know, they don't know which model does what better. So they leave it to their systems to decide this task will work better for this. So they
Hence
have something that,
the guy that says that we don't want somebody that
oh,
knows anything about coding. We want
yeah.
we want
Hmm.
so then it becomes like almost like an author, right? Like the
Hmm.
imagination somebody has and
Yeah. You, and you got built in, talk to type in there as well. And you can just watch it happen. Honestly, if you don't know anything about it, and you're the normal guy trying to get into making a little website for yourself or a small app for your day job, Lovable is like the place to go. It's all built out. They have, the model and builds out the React front end, like the visuals that make things pretty. They also have it connected in their own Lovable cloud, they call it. So they have their database. So they pull back in where you can have storage and log in and off set up to where you can, you know, and new things coming out every day. So
and you don't even
and
know
direct,
how what database it's using
it's super
or
base.
and right. But I mean,
You don't have to
as
though.
the coder, like
Mm,
somebody would need not care. They
Yeah,
nope.
just do this and make it happen.
True.
That's
Same
crazy.
with the
no,
model choices.
I think it.
Oh, MySQL.
I mean,
MySQL.
are like companies like Squarespace, like Toast, once Lovable gets out there,
I
right?
mean, I will tell you, I use Canva a lot for a lot of different things. The actual coding AI of Canva is not awful.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, Canva is a graphic tool,
it's a
right?
Well,
graphic tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think
it will
WordPress is
code
toast.
it will code in React. Um, you know, it will do a lot of what the other things do. I mean, I use anti-gravity right now.
Sure.
You turned me on to Cursor and then like anti-gravity came out. Nice.
All roads
Um,
lead to Cursor. I'm in.
I'm gonna have to
I
check
like.
out.
and those are the I goodness.
IE.
Yeah.
IE was a browser back in my day.
No,
I think.
IDE.
I asked you, yeah, the IDEs. I was asking you about the actually IDEs, but that's gonna like they're gonna come
I,
up with some cute animal name for those at some point.
Yeah, I mean,
Sled dog.
I think Cursor. I don't know. I don't think Cursor is going to be as popular in the future. I mean, it's definitely
I
a
think
lot of
so.
companies are using it, but I think you'll
it's good.
have two ends of the scale. You'll have the Lovables at one end, you'll have the Claude codes at the other end, and I think these IDEs are kind of stuck somewhere in the middle. So
Yeah, I
I
agree. Cloud Code is, you know, I as much as I preach Cursor, and I usually have a couple different instances of it running at any given time. Most of my bigger projects I've been doing in Claude Code, and I think that there's something to be said about the building with a chat. Like, I use Claude Code Desktop, so it just looks like you're talking to Claude or GPT or whatever style. And you
right.
can go in, look at the terminal, like the IDE side of things, and go open it up and view the code. But I don't need to. And then from that browser or the app, I can also have it open web pages and screenshot pages and navigate. So it's navigating all of the front end. I use Claude Code to help me build my Lovable projects. It looks at the Lovable page, it reads the Lovable code, it goes to GitHub, it comes back and works on stuff locally. And it's like it's the architect that does everything. And that's, what we've been talking about. That's the way to build, really. So Cursor does not really,
WordPress is so
you know,
screwed.
well, there
WordPress is
the
so
WordPress
good.
guy went off the handle a year or two ago, right? So he was already losing it. I
Oh,
forget what.
did he do like a Mac or what was the antivirus guy that moved down to Belize and
Norton or the
Norton? Yeah.
yeah,
Oof.
after his scamming crypto, mining crypto on people's computers or something
Yep.
like that.
Yeah, he left
That was
the sane world
man.
Matt
Well,
Mullenweg.
there you go.
because
Um,
what WordPress does is it uses existing coding libraries and languages.
PHP template or
Yeah,
something. I don't.
it's just it's a web page that makes web pages, which the AI will now do.
Oh, yeah, in a snap of your fingers. Like, I could, make 10 websites in like an hour and without thinking about it. And you can too. Like you definitely. I mean, May not be
Well, so
perfect with SEO or anything like that, and that is a discussion of point, but that won't be a problem next month
what
probably.
does that matter?
Yeah,
SEO,
what is
what?
SEO anymore? Who cares?
Um, which yeah, because I think of the IDEs as kinda like different you know how we all used different text tools in the day, like Notepad++ or, you know, like they're kind of filling that space right now.
Mhm.
Um, whatever kind of coding text reader you were using at the time. Didn't you use you never did any of that?
What's a Notepad++?
You know what Notepad++ is?
I don't know what that is.
It's what I used to
I have it
code on.
open right now.
Oh, see?
Notepad.
Still using it.
Is that a Mac app or a Windows app? What is it?
It
Nope.
was a Windows app, but it was
It's
basically
Win
a text editor
Oh, okay.
that you could use tabs, and it had really advanced, you know, it would color code, you know, different,
Got it.
yeah.
I'll
What do
have
you
to,
call that?
I'll have to look that up. What, a text editor?
Yeah,
it's called a text editor
a text
or
editor. Like, everybody
RTF
would use
text
different
editor or
text editor.
something.
What text editor did you use?
This
Text
normal
Reaper?
guy podcast has gone off the rails here. What are we talking about? Text editors now?
Yes.
Okay,
Compared
that's
to the
fair.
IDEs.
Next, we're going to be talking about tabs versus spaces.
So
So
answer me this. The IDEs, at what point does Claude go, you know what, we're not and this happened with OpenClaw, right? We're not giving access to our API anymore to agents or to
Okay,
like what do you
that
do?
would be
You're
bad.
signing
It's
you
over.
sign a long-term contract
I don't think they're gonna do it, but,
if
like,
you're outsourcing your
if,
AI thinking to Claude or to
I mean,
Anthropic.
people will just either use the other models because they're not as far off from each other as they were at other times. We all have our preference, but GPT works. You know, higher models of GPT can do a lot with the right, especially if you have the right rules set for them. But a lot of people would just stop using Cursor immediately or anti gravity immediately if they cut out the ability to use Opus, you know, Claude's
Right.
models. And you know, I'd probably be like extremely hesitant. But they already increase the cost a lot for their API calls. So I'd rather use my subscription in Claude and use the model I like. But I don't have to
That's
be
a good point.
pigeonholed into one software. You don't need to get married. You're not making a commitment to that one brand. So I use them all. I'll use Curo and Anti Gravity and Cursor and Claude and
Well, and they're
Copilot
all pretty
even.
good
Sure.
at this point. Because what I was running into with Cursor was I would hit the Cursor usage limit, but I had my own private Claude account.
Hmm.
And so I would go over there, then I was trying to figure out how to make the 2 work together, and
Hmm. Yeah.
the anti-gravity came out.
by the way, I don't have to do the Uber thing.
Oh,
So normal guy update. Yeah. I was supposed to drive my daughter to the movie with her friends, but it turns out the other dad is the Uber driver today. So
oh, nice. That's always nice. Speaking of which, I think we're gonna pivot to SeeDance.
SeeDance.
SeeDance, that's SE Dance, not ByteDance, although they're siblings,
Hmm.
um, which is a Chinese AI video generator, text prompt video generator that I think the first one that really broke through was, Tom Cruise fighting Brad Pitt. That video went viral, um, on X,
Lawsuits flying, right?
lawsuits flying, and it's brought into sharp reality that, you know, actors, blockbuster movies, uh, movie location shooting, all these things are within they're a the elimination of all those things is on the horizon. Like, it's coming, and it's just a matter of when, because Tom Cruise fought Brad Pitt in a what was a credible, uh, piece of film, I guess you would call it, that looked passable as an action movie. Crazy. So
Yeah.
that
I
has
mean,
anybody seen the Deadpool fighting Darth Vader one?
sure. I mean, Thanos fighting Darth Vader, Deadpool. Seen a bunch of
I
them. They're
I
crazy.
think I think you got to kind of look back and be like, where are we? I mean, you're making the Hollywood screwed, right? Right? So when Jurassic Park came out, were they like Hollywood screwed? No, they're like, "Oh, this is an amazing new tool that we should embrace and start building movies on and so forth." So I think that the people that say Hollywood screwed are kind of missing the bigger picture. I think initially those tools will be used to I mean, if you're the person storyboarding, right, and drawing little frames and
Right.
maybe storyboarding goes away and it gets replaced by AI mock-ups, right, where they can sort of see how the movie comes
Sure.
together, right?
Mhm.
And then, the idea that they're gonna completely cut out actors and video, and go completely uh, AI CGI related. In other words, what you're saying is that I'm gonna uh, I'm gonna make a movie with English. I'm gonna have a script and feed this script in, and it's gonna just spit out a video. I think that we're still a ways from that being passable.
Yeah,
No,
that I
no,
think it's
I don't know, man.
less than
I don't know.
5.
I
No,
don't know
I
what's crazy is you're gonna have to name your actor, right? Because, like, actors are screwed.
It's gonna be
I re
it's gonna
I
follow the Suno model where, like, you have to pay a bunch of money to have the rights to your videos, otherwise, like, if you're a subscriber for Suno, you get the
explain
rights to
that
your
real quick.
music.
Suno's a music generator, right?
Suno's an AI music generator for, like, 20
Explain
bucks
the
a month, you can
licensing to Suno
generate,
because
like,
a
a
lot I think a lot of people don't
1,000.
understand this. They're like, "I make a song or I make a jingle, it's mine," right?
Yep. No, if you're on a free account on the music generator, it it's the rights are theirs, or you don't have the rights to it. If you pay for it's in their terms of service. If you pay for their paid account, it gives you the rights to all the music you generate. Then you can use it on your platforms to make money with or whatever. Um,
While you pay them, is the way I
yeah,
understand it.
I
Because
think
if
you
you
have to
cease to
stay a subscriber.
subscribe, you cease to have those rights, usage rights.
I thought if you made when you generated it and you were subscribed, you have the rights, but maybe you have to keep paying them indefinitely, and you just
In other
keep
words,
getting the rights.
if because this has come up in podcasts,
Mhm,
as far as music that people have used in their podcasts, and that is at the time you're subscribing, you
mhm.
you have you're free to use it or whatever. But if you go to record a new episode after your subscription has lapsed, you can't use it
Mm.
for new content.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that
And I
is
think
good to
that's
know.
where the music generators are now. But Google just came out that they're
Mhm. And
giving
then,
to the world.
what
So
enter
that
wh
business as soon as fucked.
who was that other company who bought, the other competitor? Not Suno, but Suno's, Enterprise
I
Record or something?
used I forget which one I used. You were bringing up something interesting too during the week about the open source version of music generator.
Are you talking about strudel.cc?
Google.cc.
Yeah, that's
Came
kind of
out
a
during the week.
niche little thing, but I think the principles underneath that could be used to essentially convert music making into coding. But strudel.cc is a JavaScript implementation of the music rendering engine, which was built originally in Haskell. Forget the name of it. So, like 15 or 20 years ago. So, yeah, you can look it up online. What it's called Tidal Cycles is the thing that was built in
Hmm,
Haskell. And so you could go to Claude or Gemini, I think does it too, and say, generate me some music. It'll generate some code, and then you compile the code and it renders it. But
that's
Which is
kinda
a way
neat.
of basically getting around using somebody else's system.
yeah, as long as you don't pull in samples that are copyrighted,
Right.
which you can. So you can make some music that sounds actually really good
Hmm,
if you use samples of real instruments and so on, and then it mixes it
interesting.
together. But this
So
is all
s
like a hobby project type of stuff.
Which,
So
by the way, Lyra
so
just today released a new model, Lyra being Google's
yeah,
music gen
3.0 or something. Yeah,
and it's
yesterday or today, whenever.
so, like,
Goo yeah, Google's cooking a lot of stuff. I mean, it's
the
gonna be
ground has
hard.
shifted again, you know?
But I think I was just in the SeeDance thing, I think that or generating videos, like rights to your videos. maybe they'll go some way with that where you can have the right to your actors, or you can create your own, build your own AI. Well, people are already building their own AI influencer, right? They're like growing
Well, I
followings
think it's
as
gonna be
just a.
like a logo, right?
Mhm.
Like a personality will be
Sure.
like a logo, um, and so actors would be virtual.
Well,
Just like if Tom Cruise, if the good Lord called him home to the or not the good Lord, Xena, but what? I'm
gonna get our podcast canceled by unknown forces.
Scientologist. But anyway, he sells his likeness becomes a brand of a virtual asset, right? Like an actor, but it doesn't necessarily have to be based on a person because marketers
Mhm.
will want to be able to market the same action star. Now, whether that's a person or not, is another story, but,
Sure.
or maybe we'll
I
just get 100 years of Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
I want to make stories that like I said, I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons guy. I want
Yep.
to see those campaigns, those sessions narrated in like a full animated series, right? I've been my dream since I was 7 years old,
God,
right?
that would,
You know,
would be cool.
so and that's gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way around it.
Put it this way is I think it's entirely possible within the next 6 months to have a microphone on a regular D&D session
Mhm.
and have it rendering the D&D session on a screen in an animated format.
Well, I mean, there are people
Is
testing
that
kind of
not
that right now, for
so you could
images.
stream, check this out. We're inventing something right here. And somebody's probably already doing it. But you could stream your D&D session as an animated show on Twitch.
Ugh, 6 months? Mm, maybe a year.
But
Yeah,
like that
but
would
I
be
think so.
that could be a real thing.
I'm sure
Sure,
someone's streaming their D&D game on Twitch anyway.
No, but
there
what I'm
are.
talking about is it takes because the way I understand, my son plays a lot of D&D,
Yeah.
which is it's all kind of live action role play where you're all of it's dialogue. It's all dialogue and imagination and discussion. And I could see something like Whisperflow translating that into an AI prompt that
Mhm.
will then render that prompt as it
Um,
goes in an animation. Is that
I've read a
am I
white yeah, I read
what?
a
You're looking at me like I'm
document.
crazy. Am I crazy?
I don't know. Do people want that? I don't know. I haven't played D&D for decades, so I'm the wrong person to ask. I should ask Shane about that. So,
I think
Hey,
yeah, I mean,
I would
sure,
have put
right?
money
They
on
would
people
want
not
to.
wanting to watch
yeah.
people play video games. It's crazy.
I don't know.
I
There's all these what if we could do this, and then people just imagine these things that maybe they are only 5 years out, but they also seem kind of far out. I mean,
Mhm.
Disney licensed
Some stuff stupid.
their characters in December. They licensed characters to OpenAI. So sometime this spring, we're supposed to get Disney characters in Sora.
Wait, what?
200
Well,
Marvel
what's interesting,
I didn't hear that. I can't believe
no,
I missed that.
that is wild. Go on. Hey, I'm pulling on my thread now.
early
I think
December.
I think I'm on to something. So
Okay.
the D&D player who's
Mhm.
actually animating the character, right?
Mhm.
I could see that person being a star or a celebrity. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
absolutely. Yeah, no, so you would for sure. So, like, we generate all of our sessions while we're playing. We'll
I
while
know
we're
you're
running,
recording them.
I'll generate yeah, we record most of them, or like just at least audio. We haven't doing video recording, but we'll generate scenes as we go along. Like what happened. Just write this out. This is what happened. All the characters are already saved. I actually have an app for that I made. It's called Comic. It's not released yet, but it's called Comic AIL, Comical, and it you can just save characters into it and then generate scenes based on which characters there. You just click the characters and then it makes a new image for it. So you could easily do that. Boom on its own, right?
Right.
Maybe
Real
maybe.
time rendering is a different story, but like
Well, have you seen
I have not.
the real world? What is it? It's a Google thing. What is Google's like? It generates as you move. What is that? Google World or
I know
Google.
what you're talking about, but I forget the name of it. It's one of those things that no, it's like a little game world generator, like a 3D.
Google Genie, a frontier for world model. So it would be using a world model for sure, and it
I saw
generates
that
as you
where
go.
they were saying game studios.
So like
I mean,
that is
everybody's
like
toast.
a system that's like,
But not the kid, who's playing the, you know, mage, who has the imagination and the grasp of language that makes it, like, super interesting, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's why I think becoming some form of influencer has more future security than anything else. Or physical labor for now until the robots come.
Diesel mechanics.
there'll be no more salespeople. It'll just be influencers.
Kids wanted to be diesel mechanics. Like, even when the AIs become physical robots, they still need a mechanic.
Well, the world generator thing, the difference there is like a video game. It's polygons and vectors and so forth. It's not video, right? So,
But what I'm talking about is an animated, like Dragon Prince was a really hot animated series on Netflix. Something like that generated,
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, I think that's not that far off where it could generate those in real time and just keep generating. It's going to be expensive though, like for a while until they can get the price of compute that much lower. It's like if you want to generate a full length, like Avengers quality film, I mean, it's going to cost you $100,000 plus with AI credit, probably as it is currently with the videos you're
You know
seeing, like
how
the SeeDance stuff.
fucking
But that's
cheap that
cheap.
is?
I
I was
know.
gonna
Okay,
say, I
you're
think it's
right. You're
more than
right.
that.
Did he?
But
Oh my
fine.
god.
Sort of
But if it's
random though. Yeah, I don't know. But what you've described, the whole D&D real-time generator, and people would watch that on Twitch, what you've described is just a different form of people watching other people play video games.
Mhm.
So what's new?
Mhm.
In that you're
It's
generating the video game presentation off of a
thing that people
sacred
are doing.
a
No, but
thing
the
that
difference the difference would be is D&D is storytelling. Really.
but don't
It's 4 people telling a story, improv real time.
yeah, but the people that get viewers on Twitch or on YouTube streaming games, they're fundamentally storytellers. They don't just sit there and play.
Right.
They're
And
just
so
babbling off. They're talking and
and so what I think is interesting, and we're talking to kind of wrap up the SeeDance, the wide net cast on SeeDance, is I think, at least to my children, right? They care who they're looking at. So to know, will people certainly, like, studios will embrace AI characters, but will audiences care if there's a character that they can go run into it at the mall randomly someday or have the hope of? Does it matter to them if it's a real person or even the likeness of a real person, or if it's some AI generated, you know, persona created out of whole cloth? I think people will want to at least believe that it's a person.
I mean, me personally as like a D&D player and stuff, and I've watched Critical Role since they launched, which is like one of the first guys to like live stream their D&D really. Like, and there are 4 campaigns in it. So it's been over 10 years watching live streaming D&D. Just players playing. No video, no extra, good
Right.
characters. I, you know, sure. I think like I would totally enjoy watching it if it was animated, narrated, and enjoying it. They kind of did it with Dan Harmon's thing, but it was like filmed and then they animated some of the D&D play with like Rick and Morty style animations. But it was made after the fact and people watched the hell out of it. So I don't
Oh
know.
my God. There was a Joe Rogan segment years ago before I think he went crazy, where he was talking to Charlie Murphy about Mike Tyson. And some person did this crappy animation of it. And it was incredible that they took the voices and gave them a visual representation that was not them.
hmm.
Yeah, there's a market for it. There's a market for anything.
I think it's all going to boil back to story. I mean, we said it. Storytelling, story will win. The fact that you can generate a dinosaur on screen
Right.
doesn't
Story-
matter if the story sucks. And all these little short videos, they're all the AI slop that's being generated is does it tell a story or is it just kind of a little dopamine
I
hit,
said
right?
that I kind of fell onto Instagram Reels for a moment. It took about 5 minutes and a bunch of AI slop to, like, close it and ask myself, "What was I even why did I even watch any of that?" It's all, you know, like you were saying, it's America's Funniest Home Videos, but it's all fake. And the fact that it's not real makes it instantly not interesting to me.
I don't know.
Yep.
Yep. I don't I kinda don't I fall off of watching, like, I use AI image generation all the time. I don't use the video generation a lot, and I kind of, unless somebody sends me something directly to say like, "Hey, look at this badass SeeDance thing that showed up," and I'll be like, "That's pretty cool." Or somebody sent me a Brandon Sanderson, like, so this guy is an author who does fantasy books, and Brandon Sanderson's pretty
He's a big deal.
profound.
Big,
And
big
he's
deal.
also big against AI. Like, he's not, like, not a fan, right? And somebody
Yeah.
made a minute long animated scene of one of his books, and all I could think was like, oh, I know this guy's stance on AI. But then I watched it and I was like, man, that's awesome. I would love to see that in an actual movie. Damn it,
Mm.
I've got mixed emotions with this. Oh
Have you
well.
heard of The Wheel of Time, Lauren? No.
Wasn't that like an Amazon show or something? Or
It was an Amazon show. It was a book written by an author who died while, like, writing the last book.
got it.
And Brandon Sanderson was the estate actually went to pick an author to, like, finish it.
Mhm.
He's like the hot young author.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Youngish,
yeah.
probably
He finished.
40s.
He converted his last book into three, I think. Because I mean, the Robert Jordan was the original author, and he wrote like 10 of these 12 books, and then Brandon Sanderson turned the last two into three, I think.
Yeah, and they weren't novellas, man. I mean, it was
No,
like, ugh,
like
tomes
And they're not
that.
written by AI, is what you're telling me. People
for
still read books
now.
for now.
I don't read
People
books.
still people
I
still write
listen.
books.
Yeah, I like
I
audiobooks.
I don't type. I talk. I don't read. I listen. Like, that's pretty much
They don't even
my
teach kids to
2026.
type in school.
Do
Is
you
that
do,
that's always gonna be the thing. Yeah.
do you demand your book be read by a human, or do you accept the replicant voices?
It's still human so far. I'll let it be read by whatever. I like to
Well,
crank up the
Apple's
speed
whole
though, so I
model
can
is
get
gonna
through
be
more.
all generated voices on their audiobooks.
Really
Um,
interesting.
so predictions for a week? You got 1 week.
I have a prediction. I don't know if it's going to happen this week,
It's
but
gonna happen in the next week.
oh, you want a week prediction?
No, I don't want a week prediction. I want a prediction for the week.
So I have a prediction that will go past a week, right?
Okay. That's fair.
So we'll have to check in on this in a few months. But my prediction. So the context here is that OpenAI hired the OpenClaw guy, and Anthropic stuck to their knitting and said, "We're gonna
Okay.
tell you to go away." I have my prediction is that Anthropic will have made the right decision, and that everyone will have more or less forgot about OpenClaw in 4 to 6 months, and there'll be so many more agent options similar to OpenClaw. That's my prediction. And Anthropic's probably working on their own version of a OpenClaw. And the reason I think this could come true, and the reason I think that Anthropic could end up owning the day, so to speak,
For the cycle, maybe.
right?
For the year.
I mean, they stuck to their business plan. They didn't get distracted by OpenClaw and started waving money at the founder and so forth. I think, and the thing was written by Claude Code, more or less, right? I mean, the thing was written
It's
by
almost
their model.
like a commercial for Anthropic.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that OpenClaw was so good was because people hooked it up to Claude, not to OpenAI. They didn't hook it up to GPT 5.2 and say, have at it. They hooked it up to Claude.
Yeah,
So,
I think another tab in the Claude browser or the Claude app or within their tools will be, it's the Claude's website or whatever. It's Cowork, which came out recently, Claude Code, and then there's just going to be one more in there, and it's going to be their
Cowork's
agent
the plugins, right?
orchestration. Yeah, Cowork is their it's like their easy mode Claude Code, basically.
Say it again, Shane. What's the tab called that they're going to
It's
add? Like
they're gonna
the
because
agent,
some either agency or
agent or
orchestration or
bot. Okay,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't I can't predict the
That
name.
sounds pretty
I
I,
cool,
think they
actually.
I,
won't. I think I'll predict that they won't call it co something because they've already
How
done
about
it.
you call it
They'll be
Office, where all your little bot workers work?
team,
yeah, I don't
maybe
know. I don't
maybe
know.
something
But
team
I just
related.
think that I think everyone's kind of down on Anthropic. And I was for like a day or so, and then I've kind of gone to the other opinion where I think that they stuck to their business model, they stuck to their plan, and said, we're not going to get distracted by this project.
Okay, Shane, any
So
predictions for the week?
I think Google is going to be the one that leads the next. I mean, they just launched something today, so that's been my prediction for a little bit. Not just the next model, but like Google's going to release the next large changing thing. That or I don't think we get anything with Facebook, but I do think that sorry, I don't think we get anything with Apple, but I do think Meta is sitting on something that's going to drop. They've been hiring a lot of talent lately, so I just don't know what it is or where it impacts. Maybe they go back into the metaverse a little bit. Maybe it's an agent metaverse. Maybe you get to
Metaverse.
go dive in and chat with your agents, maybe, or like be in the digital space with your agents.
That'd be an interesting interface.
Yeah.
yeah, I
I think
don't know.
Meta is their value is in the data. I mean, they've just got 100-to-1 data compared to anybody else.
Yeah, I
Human
don't.
stuff. Not to say that it's not good data because it's all like real human stuff.
It's ironic. Yeah, I don't know enough about what Facebook's been doing on their Llama or what? Not Llama. What's the name of their model? Llama. I mean, they're so far behind now. But if you if you want to make money in AI, it's apparently owning Facebook stock and taking advantage of their machine learning and AI models and what it's done to their advertising results.
Right.
So they're actually not winning the race on the consumer facing AI, and they've kind of fallen on their face, and they let go their main AI guy and hired a bunch of new people, and they're off building something different. But I think they're in catch up mode. And will they just be a fast follower now, or are they going to do something entirely different? I don't know.
I don't know. Nvidia's going crazy still. I don't know. I have my predictions. How
hardware
it's so
and the
hard to
memory.
predict anything right now, which makes it fun.
That's the
I'll
point.
be prepared next week though for
I
prediction.
predict no regulations will be passed on AI this week. How's that for prediction?
Here's a prediction. I project, and it's going to be the opposite of that. I predict the House of Representatives will pass a national set of AI standards, which will actually prevent states from doing any meaningful regulation.
Oh, a regulation to prevent
No.
regulation. I mean,
that's my prediction.
dang.
Within a week.
I don't, I don't think the House. I don't think they could pass anything.
Actually, we should. I don't know.
Yeah,
Definitely within.
There will be no regulation while the current administration is in.
Because it's going to happen quickly though, because a lot of states, Utah's the latest, are moving to regulate the use of AI, specifically in the chatbot, entertainment space.
Well,
And I think that, everybody was at the presidential inauguration for a reason. They don't like those regulations. They like to self-regulate or lack thereof. So yeah. So they're gonna look.
Yeah, there's definitely something in that regards. Like the AI chatbots and voice bots and things that are going to be calling people. I definitely have a year prediction that like the whole idea of businesses and people cold calling people is like nobody will ever. There's no market in that. When you get a call from a little Autobot whenever
Yeah,
you
it's gonna
want,
burn out fast.
it's burning. It's
We
already
talked about
burning out.
on a
No, you listed from last week.
prior episode. No, he didn't. Did he? Nobody listens to our podcast. Yeah, the phone is a saturated thing. Yeah,
Stop answering the phone. I guess there'll be some space for that.
it'll be cheaper to send your prospect a phone that only
No,
answers to them.
I
What the
actually,
answer is to all this?
I should
What?
work on a app that all it does is cold calls grandmas, but not to like sell them anything, just to keep them company. all over the world, like all over the US, just hundreds of
How
thousands
about
of
an
calls to
agent
all. Yeah.
where you can have an agent, call your grandparent for you?
I was gonna say, just put a little voice cloning on there, and now you got a product. Be like, call
It's
grandma.
call
There
grandma.
it is.
There we
Call
go.
grandma.
You know,
Cook
to
it, pull it.
train your
I'll have it done before next week. Don't worry, guys. And
but how
I'll
you
call
gotta
us at the
train on
session.
yeah.
But I think they're
Oh,
gonna move fast because states are trying to regulate, and they wanna put a cap on it before anybody does anything meaningful. They
mhm.
wanna keep it open. So, my prediction,
Fair, fair.
um, wow, I think we covered a lot of ground and not even scratched the surface. Is that a thing?
Oh,
I'm excited to have Shane on board here.
I know,
All right?
right?
thanks,
It's
guys.
awesome.
I,
Awesome.
And
I appreciate
Shane,
it.
like, you're like the prime example too of like the transition of the workforce, I think, in an AI world, because 10 years ago, like, computer science was not your jam, right?
No, I mean, like,
It
I
was a
play video
hobby.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope.
And now you're, like, vibe coding. You've got teams of agents out there doing projects.
Crushing
Yep.
it.
It makes us all feel like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
I don't know. I wanna hear more about vibe coding careers. That's super interesting. So
Well, let's
or
definitely
agentic
dive
and
into that.
yeah.
Next week?
Next time.
Alright,
All right,
thanks, guys.
guys. Until
That's
next time.
awesome. I wanna say alligator because it helps me
Hold on.
You
find
forgot to hit record, right?
transcript.
Alligator? Oh, no, I thought you were supposed to clap. No?
That was 10 years ago.
Oh, you say alligator. I'm gonna start, working alligator into the next
Talking about alligator.
the alligator this week is
I'm sorry, but I would love to listen to that.
I'm not sure about that. I didn't fall asleep, which was it was
Yeah. Yeah, AI's really giving you guys more family time.
I'm gonna go install that Telegram bot where I can chat with my terminal.
You're
So,
kidding me.
no, a bunch of people have stuff like that, but there's, you set up a
I know
tail scale and,
there's a perplexity bot in WhatsApp
uh,
that I need to be using.
but, yeah, I need to
I'm just wondering at what point, like, I think the Anthropics and the OpenAIs are gonna be happy being the drug dealers and letting the perplexities and everybody else, you know, sell it on the street, right?
what?
He's talking
He took his mic away.
he's talking to his team.
He just coded that app you were talking about. The
Right?
talking to grandma app.
Talking to grandma. You're doing talking to grandma, aren't you?
Guys, I gotta take this call.
Yep.
See ya.
Alright, take care.
Bye.
Yep, we'll see you soon.
Here it is. I don't know if this